Thought my brother disappeared years ago. Now I've uncovered the devastating truth my parents hid from me that changed everything. I've never shared this before, but it's been weighing on me lately. My brother went missing years ago, one of those cases that ended up on the news and became one of those unsolved mysteries people talk about. I still remember my parents being interviewed in our living room, hoping for answers. I was really young when it happened, so my memories are scattered, but I loved my brother so much. He used to pull me around our block in a wagon. Most kids his age wouldn't do that. A few days before he disappeared, he stayed home to watch me while our parents were at work. I'd be in my room playing Nintendo 64 when a man, someone much older, almost our dad's age, would visit. Every time the doorbell rang, my brother would tell me to stay in my room. Later, he'd remind me not to mention anything about the visits. At the time, I didn't think much of it. I was too focused on video games and getting extra dessert. The day before he vanished, I remember seeing that man again. I was in the kitchen when I looked up and saw him kiss my brother. They hugged like they didn't care that I was watching. The man waved at me, I waved back, and I went back to my cartoons. I fell asleep on the couch that night and woke up to my brother whispering at the front door. I heard him say, "Don't worry, he's asleep." The man replied, but I couldn't make out the words. I did catch my brother saying something with the word visit in it. The man's voice got louder, saying no, and then something about a plan and city. I must have fallen asleep again after that. The next day, when he disappeared, he was acting really strange, constantly checking the clock. That afternoon, he picked me up and asked if I wanted to go for a ride in the wagon. I was too into my game and said no. He asked again, almost like he was trying to convince me, but I still said no. Then he told me he had to run to the neighbor's house and reminded me not to open the door for anyone but Mom and Dad. I was annoyed and just yelled, "Okay." He hugged me, told me he loved me, and left. That was the last time I ever saw him. Now, all these years later, I think I understand. I believe my brother was in love with that man. Maybe they left together. Or maybe something worse happened, but deep down, I don't think that's the case. During my freshman year of college, my team made it onto ESPN. A few days later, I got a gift basket at my dorm. I thought it was from my parents, so I didn't even check the card and just dug in. It was filled with all my childhood favorites: Nerds, Jolly Ranchers, Tootsie Rolls, Hershey's Kisses. When I called to thank my dad, he said they hadn't sent anything. Neither had my mom. That's when it hit me. Those were the exact candies my brother used to take me to buy at the gas station when I was little. I tried to find the card, but it was gone. Then, months later, I got an unmarked Christmas card with just a simple smiley face. No one I knew sent it. I never responded. I think about it every day, if he's out there, if he's okay. I never told anyone the full story, not even the police when they asked. I only told them what I honestly remembered at the time. Losing him destroyed my family. My mom struggled with painkillers, and my dad, well, he made choices that didn't help. Maybe my brother knows what happened. Maybe he regrets leaving. Maybe he thinks he can't come back. But if I could see him today, I'd tell him he's always welcome in my home. I love you so much, brother. We have so much to catch up on. Please come home. Update 2 months later. It's 4 p.m., and I'm sitting here in shock. These past few weeks have been a whirlwind. I posted before about my brother who went missing a long time ago. I always thought he ran away. Recently, I decided to reach out to some detectives our family knew from back when he disappeared. That's when they told me something I never expected. My brother isn't listed as a missing person anymore. When I asked what that meant, they said he was removed from the registry by request of my parents. I confronted my parents. My dad wouldn't say a word, but my mom, she finally admitted it. My brother is alive. They found him years ago, living with another man. My parents disapproved of him being gay and decided they wanted nothing to do with him. When he reached out to them, they told him I didn't remember him and wouldn't want to see him. I was completely blindsided. They kept him a secret from me for my entire life. He missed everything: my wedding, my graduation, the birth of his nephew, all because they couldn't accept him. I'm devastated. I haven't spoken to my parents in weeks, and I don't plan to ever again. They let me believe my brother was gone forever, when in reality, they shut him out. The detectives gave me a way to contact him. My brother left his info open in case any of us ever wanted to reach out. I have his number, his address, he's across the country, but I can't bring myself to call him yet. Just knowing he's alive feels overwhelming. I'm still trying to process everything. The betrayal, the lost time, the lies, it's all too much. I just keep asking myself, how could they do this? I don't even know what to feel right now. Second update 1 month later. Here's an update for you all. The day after my last post, I woke up and called into work. I finally told my wife everything. She wasn't exactly shocked. She's never been a fan of my parents, but like many of you suggested, she told me I had to call the number I was given for my brother. She insisted. Then, she took our son out for the day so I could have some space. I must have dialed the number 7 times before actually pressing the call button. It rang, and I panicked. I hung up. Then frustration took over, and I called back. It rang, and I got voicemail. Just the automated kind, not his voice. I didn't leave a message. At that point, I thought the whole thing was ridiculous. I called my wife and told her to come home, but she refused until I actually talked to him. After pacing around for an hour and downing 2 glasses of scotch at 1 p.m., I called again. It rang 3 times, and I froze. I hung up. But then, the number called me back. My heart felt like it was going to stop. I answered. The first thing I heard was laughter and wind on the other end. Someone was outside. Then I heard it. His voice. My brother. The brother I thought I'd lost forever. I covered my mouth and just sat there, shaking. He kept asking who it was. Pop. And when I finally spoke, the first thing I said after all these years was, I got your number. He asked who I was. I told him, it's me. Silence. Then I heard him tell someone to turn down the radio and roll up the window. He asked me my name. When I said it, he thought I was lying. I told him I got his number from detectives. I heard him gasp. He asked me something only I would know, the color of his shoelaces at a family picnic, orange laces with blue shoes. It was the last time we were all together. He started crying. The first thing he said after that was, "Where are you?" I told him I lived a few hours away. Without hesitation, he said, "I'm coming." He went straight to the airport with no luggage, bought a ticket, and flew to me. We stayed on the phone the whole time. When I saw him walk through the gate, I knew him instantly. Salt and pepper hair, taller than me, and looking so much like our dad, only better. I literally pushed past someone just to hug him. We both broke down. He wouldn't let go of me. We went to a bar at the airport and sat there for hours. He kept holding onto my arm, apologizing over and over. I told him to forget the past and tell me about his life. Turns out he's married. His husband is a pediatric oncologist. They have 2 daughters, 12 and 8. He runs his own legal consulting firm. He told me he thought I didn't want anything to do with him. After a long night of talking, I finally took him home to meet my wife. She hugged him instantly and insisted he stay with us. Meanwhile, his husband was calling nonstop, thinking something crazy had happened. Once everything was out in the open, it felt like life was falling into place. My son and my brother clicked right away. I never imagined having kids, but my son was the best surprise in my life. I'm not great with kids, but my brother, he's a natural. Kids love him. He stayed with us for 2 weeks, and in that time, everything about my life changed. His husband and daughters flew in, and suddenly, my family doubled in size. We are a family now. My brother wants us to move closer to him. My wife's on board. I work as a professor and have already started looking for a position, and I found one that's tenured with better pay. It feels like a sign. I don't plan to forgive my parents, but my brother still loves them. He knocked on their door. My dad shut it in his face. My mom hugged him and told him to take care of himself, and then shut him out too. I can't forgive them for that. Now it's 2 a.m. I'm sipping a tall glass of scotch and grading papers. My amazing wife is asleep on the couch. She likes watching me work. My son is cuddled up with all the stuffed animals his uncle brought him. And me? I feel full. My heart is happy. I can't believe how much my life has changed. I'm so happy, you guys. I'm just so happy. Third update, 6 months later. Hey everyone. It's been a while. I wanted to give you an update on what's happened since I reconnected with my brother, the one my parents disowned and never told me about. First, thank you for all your support. These past 10 months have been a whirlwind, and honestly, I don't even know where to begin. My wife, son, and I moved closer to my brother and his family, but not exactly in the same area. I landed a new teaching job at a university, and while it's not a tenured position, I finally get to focus on research, which I love. My brother-in-law's family has been incredibly welcoming. They were shocked to hear what we've been through, but they embraced us like we've always been part of their family. It's comforting to know they're my family now, too. My brother opened up about his past, and it broke me. When he left home, he was nearly 18 and in a relationship that turned out to be abusive. When he tried to come back, our parents refused to let him. He had no choice but to stay in that situation until he put himself through college. Knowing he endured all of that alone makes me so angry, but my brother, he's still hopeful, still optimistic. He's the kindest person I know, and somehow, he still believes in our parents, despite everything. We're so different. He's patient and soft-spoken, and I'm, well, not. My wife likes to remind me that I don't separate laundry, refuse to mop floors, and can't change the oil. But despite our differences, my brother and I have this way of knowing exactly what the other is thinking. After years apart, that connection never faded. He's built an amazing life for himself. He's married, has 2 daughters, and a successful career. He did it all without our parents, and it makes me proud and heartbroken at the same time. Cutting off our parents after finding out the truth has done wonders for my mental health. But then, the election happened. I won't get too political, but the results hit us hard. My brother and his husband were devastated. My wife, who is Black, was devastated. It's not just about one person. It's about the ideology that took hold. Where I grew up, that rhetoric was celebrated, but for me, it's personal. It's a direct attack on my family. And then, my mom called. I didn't answer at first, but eventually curiosity got the best of me. When we spoke, she apologized, but only to me. I told her to talk to my brother if she really wanted to make things right. I told him about the call, and the look of hope on his face was heartbreaking. He called her, and to my surprise, she answered. But her apology was conditional. She said that with everything going on, we need each other now. She meant me, Mom, and Dad, not my brother. She even suggested conversion therapy. My brother, being the gentle soul he is, simply said, "I'm sorry, Mom. I love you. Good night." Since then, I've seen my brother pull away emotionally. He's thrown himself into work and avoids talking about it. My wife, who's a counselor, told me the best thing I can do is to just be there for him, to never let him feel alone again. But I couldn't hold back. I called my mom and let out everything I had bottled up, how much she hurt him, how she put his life in danger, and how cruel it was to shut him out. When I finally stopped, she quietly said, "He sounds grown." Then she asked to speak to him. I hung up. I couldn't let her hurt him again. Right now, I'm sitting here with my family for Thanksgiving. My wife and brother-in-law are trying to assemble an IKEA shelf. My son is watching cartoons and telling them to shh, and my brother is in the kitchen washing dishes. This is my life, and I will fight to protect it. I haven't told my brother about my mom's call, and honestly, I don't think I will. He deserves happiness, and I just want to focus on loving him and my family. This life we have is my version of heaven, and I'm so grateful for it.